Hey everyone, Tom Butwin here for Premier Guitar, and today we are checking out the ART Tube MPC. Now, you have probably seen a version of this box before, with good reason, because they've made it for 30 years. So often, this is like one of the first pieces of pro studio gear that has a tube in it that we get our hands on. I know that was the case for me. I didn't own one, but my friend did, and we did a lot of experimenting back in the day with it as we learned what it could do. And that is really the story with this, is the limit to what you can do with this. There's almost no limit. And we're gonna go through a lot of use cases. I got a bunch of sound samples for you to show you what this does. Without further ado, let's dive right in. So as far as the capability of the MPC, you can break it up into three different categories as to what this is. It's a DI, it's a tube preamp, and it's got a compressor built into it. So again, sky is the limit as to how you can use this. So at its core, you've got the tube preamp, and that's always active. It's got a 12AX7 built in here. It allows you to bring some nice tube warmth to whatever sort of digital or maybe sterile type recording or performing situation you might be in. Really simple to control and dial in the sweet spot on this. You've got a gain knob here and the tube drive meter labeled clean, warm, and clip. So you can sort of gauge, depending on your source, where you should be. Obviously use your ears, but really the sweet spot is kind of like when these two yellow lights are lighting up quite a bit. And that's where I found that it sounded really, really great. But again, experiment. So when you're using this, you're always going to be going through the preamp section with that 12AX7 tube, but you do have the ability to bring in and out the compressor, which is here in this middle section. Very simple controls. I know compressors can be overwhelming sometimes if you're not used to using them or maybe don't completely understand what they do. In the case of the Tube MPC, if you don't want to learn about what a compressor does, really, you can just start twisting knobs. And I found that pretty much any setting here, while some have a more extreme effect on the signal, is going to sound pretty good. At its core, you can turn it on and off, which is cool because sometimes you may not want a compressor in the chain. But if you do want it on, you've got this threshold knob here. As you go to the left or counterclockwise, it's going to lower the threshold at which the compressor comes into play. You've got a speed button here. When the button is disengaged, you've got it on auto. If you want a little bit of a faster compressor, put the button in there. Very simple. Again, just a push button. Keeping in that simple push button vein, you've got a slope button, and this is going to take you from the world of compression more into the world of limiting. So again, depending on your source, you're going to want to adjust that. If you're singing or have a snare drum or something that has a lot of transients, you might want to try a limiter on it, just as you might want to try the compressor on an acoustic guitar. But again, use your ears. It's very simple to use, and it's going to add just a little bit of a finished touch to what you're doing. I found that it's not going to be super extreme, but I don't think you want it to be really extreme. This is sort of like that compression on the way in to recording that you don't want to wish you hadn't done. It just makes your life easier as you mix, or if you're performing live, makes the front house engineer's life just a little bit easier as well. So you've heard what the Tube MPC can do on individual sources, but I think a really great way to demonstrate this is rather than tell you, show you what this can do for an entire track. So what I've done is used another application on this, which is reamping. So you can reamp things or run sources that you've already recorded back through this box and then record it again to add that tube warmth. I'm gonna do that with the basic elements of this track so you can hear the before and after of adding some tube warmth and compression from the tube MPC and get a really good idea. Rather than me telling you, I'll just show you and you can hear it. So beyond that, you've got some other very simple controls. Output is very straightforward. The cool thing about that is that if you add some gain over here through the tube, you're not having to worry about clipping whatever you're plugging this into. Digital distortion is not what you want, but when it comes to tube distortion, that might be what you want. So you can dial in some more of that warmth with the gain knob here, all while taming or increasing the output overall from the box to whatever you have it plugged into. You got a phase inversion switch. You can run this to give a microphone. You may have it plugged into the back here if you're not using like a high Z instrument input. You can give your condenser mic 48 volt phantom power from this unit. On off switch, super easy. Line instrument selector depending on which output you're using and how you want to use it. And then on the front, you've got two more buttons. Low cut, which is really effective if you have like an acoustic guitar, maybe a vocal. Again, doing some of that pre-mix work just as you record to make your life easier. And then you've got a 20 decibel gain boost on the front here if you have a weaker signal that you want to drive the tube with. So all the examples that I've demonstrated here have been studio based, but I did allude to the fact that you can take this out on stage, and that is absolutely true. The case is very rugged. It's rock solid. It's got these rubber feet on it. It takes a 12 volt DC power supply. So if you have a really nice power supply in your pedal board, you can power this easily. And you might say, well, how would I use it? Well, a great way to use this is to throw some tube warmth on your plugged in acoustic guitar tone. And in fact, we have a great example of that right here on Premier Guitar. You know the Rig Rundown series. Go check out the Jason Isbell Rig Rundown. Watch about halfway through his guitar player Sadler. Check out when Perry is talking to him. He's got a ART tube MPC right on his pedal board. It was kind of inspired by a conversation he had with Beck. And it really does what we've witnessed here today. It warms up, which, you know, ultimately can be sometimes a sterile sound with a plugged-in acoustic guitar. It warms that right up. He uses it before his LR Baggs preamp. I have that same preamp, so I got to try that out on my next gig. Really cool though, simple, reliable way to bring some tube warmth to a plugged-in electric acoustic guitar. So there you have it. That's the Tube MPC preamp from ART. It's been around for 30 years with good reason. It is an affordable, reliable way to bring tube warmth to just about any source you can think of. It's really, really cool. The applications are endless, whether you're using it as a DI, a tube microphone preamp, maybe you really like the compressor on here, maybe you want to do some reamping. Again, sky is the limit. Experiment, use your ears, and have a ton of fun with the ART Tube MPC. Once again, my name is Tom Butwin here for Premier Guitar. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss anything in the future, and I will see you in the next one.